You ever notice how when you treat someone as capable, they begin behaving like a person who remembers they are? Isn't it curious how assuming intelligence has this uncanny way of activating it? As if the moment you stop explaining like they're empty and start speaking like they're already full, suddenly their cup begins to overflow with understanding, like an orchestra awakening to a silent conductor's raised hand. The moment you expect brilliance, it begins to perform. And just for a moment now, consider this. Imagine talking to a child like they're a genius in disguise. Not someday, not maybe, but already. You see the way their spine straightens, the flicker in the eye, the rising tide of self-trust, as if some ancient knowing has just remembered. That's not imagination, that's mirror neurons firing. That's emotional proprioception activating. That's the self-fulfilling prophecy of respect doing its magic underneath awareness. Because when you assume they understand, they begin to search for that understanding within. And what you seek you find. What you reflect reflects back. What you believe is mirrored. So here's the twist most never notice. They don't have to already be capable. They just have to believe you believe they are. And in believing that, they become. Let me show you how this works, not in theory, but in living metaphor. You walk into a room, 3 people. One scowls, one nods absently, one looks up, waiting. You say, you already know this, of course. And watch while all 3 lean in. Even the scowl begins to soften, because you're framing assumed inclusion, and their biology complies. Presuppositions bypass the gatekeeper. When you say, as you already feel inside yourself, the body says, wait, do I? And then it goes searching for what it must already have. Now, would it be helpful to remember a time someone treated you like a peer, not a project? Didn't something shift in you then? Like they were lighting a candle that had always been there, just waiting for someone to stop telling you it was too dark to see. And now with every word that you're hearing, that candle becomes a torch. That torch ignites 1,000 more. Because the more you believe, they're already enough. The more they begin to behave like it's true. Not because you taught them, but because you assumed the truth before they knew they were ready. And that's the paradox, isn't it? Teach by believing, lead by mirroring, empower by presupposing. So let me ask you a question with an answer already hidden inside. When you speak to someone as though they already agree with the best in themselves, how often do they start acting as though they already do? Because reality, malleable, fluid and hypnotic, it's shaped not by facts but by frames. And the strongest frame wins, not by force but by resonance. And resonance is rapport's mother tongue. Here's a story you can remember now, even if it's happening for the first time. A teacher once spoke to a failing student like they were destined for greatness, and the student, confused, sceptical, disarmed, laughed and said, "But I'm not." To which the teacher replied, "Yes." That tiny word "yes" rewrote the identity script, and identity is the deepest code of all. So what happens when you begin to speak to everyone as if they already are the version of themselves they have secretly wished to become? The truth. They start to rise to meet that version. Your belief becomes their blueprint. And the more precise your language, the more profound the shift, because language is code. Beliefs are code, assumptions. They're living executable scripts. And when you speak to someone like you know they already understand, you don't install information, you install identity. Now imagine your voice becoming the script that they didn't know they were waiting to hear. This is something you've probably always known. You may not remember learning it, but you've always acted like you have. You might notice now It's simply unfolding. This is gentle hypnosis. This is subliminal uplift. This is influence through dignity. Because belief isn't just an attitude. It's an archetypal blueprint that shapes the neural cathedral of the mind. And when you build it for them in words, they begin to inhabit it in actions. So the next time you speak, don't ask, do they get it? Assume they already do, and speak from that place, because in doing so, you don't just talk to who they are. You talk to who they're becoming, and that changes everything.